It's Seven Witches right here on your classic metal show, From Exile to Infinity and One. That is Metal Tyrant, featuring our good friend Jack Frost on lead guitar.
Who was the singer in that? Was that
was Wade Black.
Wade Black. Okay.
Wade Black, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
like
that was my first introduction to Seven Witches.
Hey guys, it's Jack Frost.
Exactly, but I was sitting there thinking, listening to that song, how we reconnected with Jack last year.
Yeah.
I mean, we obviously saw him for a couple of days at the Melodic Rock Fest a year ago already. It was in May, right?
Yeah, last, 2 weeks ago.
Was May 4th?
May 4th and 6th, yeah.
Yeah. So we hooked up with Jack then, and then I saw him again at NAMM.
Okay.
He was at that Heavy Metal Hall of Fame thing where, and he was playing with that Jean Beauvoir.
Come on over and have a drink with me, Neely.
Yeah, well, he come over and hung out, and every time he sees me, he's like, "It's so good to see you, brother."
Dude, I can't believe you made it all the way out for this.
Yeah. He said, "It's always so good to see you, no matter where."
Yeah, man, wherever it is, it's always the right place to be.
Jack's a good dude. I like that guy.
I like Jack a lot too. He's good people.
Yeah, he is. He is. And Andy gave you a box of food.
Yeah, he did. Joe pizza. I still think that pizza was dosed.
It could have been.
Because I felt really weird after I ate it.
Jack's a good dude. I can't say enough good things about Jack. I remember exactly when I met him. He was with a guy that I know that you absolutely dislike.
Ooh.
Mark Groman.
Yeah, I don't like Mark.
Yeah. Well, I met Jack the first time. He was hanging out. For some reason, he was in Cleveland, and he was and I'll tell you who I met that same night, the first time.
Oh.
Rick Rule.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah. I was at the Revolution to go see Every Mother's Nightmare.
Right.
And Mark Groman from
Brave
Words was there with Jack Frost.
Right.
And Rick Rule was playing, and I met Rick Rule, Jack Frost, Mark Groman, and of course Billy was there.
Mm-hmm.
So I met those guys all at the same time, and still remain friends with at least 3 out of the 4 since then.
And you don't have any animosity with Groman?
I don't know him. I don't know. I mean, I knew who he was, but I don't have any, kinship with him at all.
Yeah, no. I just had a bad experience with the guy. I'm sure he's a nice guy.
I don't know the guy. I met him once, and he was with Jack. I got introduced to Jack, and Jack has been friends with us ever since.
Yeah, I mean, with Groman, I met him once. He was a dick to me, so okay. He's a dick. Fair enough. And I'm a dick to him. Sure he thinks I'm a dick.
Yeah.
It's fine. Fine with me.
But here it is. That was, for me, that was like 2003, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And, here it is. It's 16 years later, and, still talk to Rick Rule, still talk to Jack Frost, still talk to Billy Morris.
Yeah. Yeah. Groman, I met him at and you'll remember this because it had some CMS stuff.
Yeah,
in
because you went to the Odeon and Dora was playing.
It was the Brave Words Festival.
Yeah,
And I mean, I'll tell the story again. It's not like it was like a huge problem, but they were Bill Peters, who's a local legend here in Cleveland. He kind of organized the stage introductions for Brave Words, and it was like Metal Tim from Brave Words and Groman and Bill, and they asked me, or Bill asked me, to do some stage intros, and they asked me to intro Cataclysm, and they asked me to do I forget who the other one was. I think it was like God Dethroned or something, another death metal band, which me, I'm fine with that. I love death metal bands. So I was hanging out with backstage waiting for my time with the Cataclysm guys. and I was just shooting the shit with those guys, and they're like cool as fuck. And I told those guys, I said, look, when I say you guys' name, you better just run up here and start playing, because I'm going to get these guys, I'm going to get everybody in this crowd going fucking berserk. And they were like, yeah, you know, they're Canadian guys. So they're like, yeah, you know, I think they're Canadian or something, but they don't speak like straight English. Whatever they are, they don't speak straight
Well,
English.
they might be French Canadian.
Yeah, maybe, or for all I know, they're from France. I don't know, honestly. But so I get up on stage, and I just go to work. And you know me, I'm getting everybody chanting. And this is right when I guess what would have been out, Saint Anger or whatever, I think was out at the time from Metallica.
Yeah, that was about the same time.
And I had the crowd fucking chanting Metallica sucks.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, but Brave Words was working on an interview with Metallica for their cover of their magazine at the time. They were like on it, and here I am, you know, getting the crowd crazy, you know, and I'm doing this whole thing about, oh, Metallica's yesterday's news. You need to get with these newer bands that are just kicking fucking ass. Yeah! You know, I'm just being me.
Right.
All silly and stupid. And the crowd's going fucking apeshit. And here they are, Cataclysm. The crowd fucking erupts. You know, everybody goes crazy. The band comes running on and just starts destroying the fucking room. So I walk off, and I'm like, yeah, I fucking did my job here. People are going crazy, and it was at the Odeon. I come out, and immediately Groman starts yelling at me. What the fuck is wrong with you, you fucking asshole? Blah, blah. You know, and I was like, you know what? Fuck you, dude.
Yeah,
you know,
who are you anyway?
And me, I'm a little bit liquored up, like a lot liquored up, and I'm ready to fight. You know how I get when, you know, somebody going to get in my face. I was ready to fucking fight him. And Angry Pat, at the time, remember when I used to run with Angry Pat? He was my bodyguard, so to speak.
Right.
Angry Pat jumped in between us and just kind of escorted me away so that I didn't punch Groman in the face. Because I was.
Fuck are you, shitwad?
Exactly. It's about what I said. Yep. But that's the Groman story.
Right.
I'm sure he's a nice enough guy. The one time I met him, didn't go well.
Yeah. And that was the reunited Death Angel.
Yes. Yeah, I actually have that recording of that set. That was a great set. I have that.
Yeah.
Death Angel was reunited at that point. I'm trying. Doro was there.
Doro was there. I remember that. It was a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah. I remember I was having guys call in. I was calling in and handing the phone off. I had I think Ripper called in and Russell Allen called in. And remember Russell was completely fucking wasted. And I handed him the phone, and he was like trying to talk to you, but he couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
Finally, he just gave me the phone back. He goes, I don't know if your fucking friend is there or not, but he's holding up my drinking.
Well, I remember how loud it was in the background, but yeah, you were doing your best to corral these guys to do a little call-in thing.
Yeah, I was trying to get them on the show, and they were all just kind of wandering around. So I thought it would be easy, but boy, it was not.
Yeah, I remember that very, very distinctly. That was, that was like 2005 or something.
Yeah, it's 2004 or 5, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Where's the time gone?
We're getting old.
We are.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got some stuff to cover here.
Okay.
Our good friend Sal in the chat room.
Okay.
Sal's a good dude too.
Yeah, I like so.
I've hung out with him a couple of times, and he's a good guy. He sent this over specifically for you.
Oh, okay.
He said this is going to drive Chris fucking nuts.
Oh, specifically to piss me off.
Yeah,
nice.
more or less.
Thanks.
Yeah. Get you all amped up before you go to bed.
All right, as if I haven't been amped up all night tonight anyway, right?
Exactly.
Okay, go ahead.
The looming national security crisis. Young Americans are unable to serve in the military.
Yeah. That's not surprising. Is that supposed to be shocking?
No, not at all.
Yeah. Okay. Let's hear it, though. Why?
All right. Well, we'll run this down.
Okay.
According to the 2017 Pentagon data, 71% of young Americans between the ages of 17 and 24 are ineligible to serve in the United States military.
Okay.
Put another way, over 24 million of the 34 million people of that age group cannot join the armed forces, even if they wanted to.
Why?
This is an alarming situation which threatens the country's fundamental national security. If only 29% of the nation's young adults are even qualified to serve, and these negative trends continue, it is inevitable that the U.S. military will suffer from a lack of manpower.
Okay.
The military depends on a constant flow of volunteers every year to meet its requirements. And as the number of eligible Americans declines, it will be increasingly difficult to meet that need. This is not a distant problem to address decades from now. The U.S. military is already having a hard time attracting enough qualified volunteers. Of the four services, the Army has the greatest annual need. The Army anticipates problems with meeting its 2018 goal to enlist 80,000 qualified volunteers, even with the increased bonuses and incentives.
Wow.
Even more on the planes, ships, and tanks. The military depends on ready and willing American volunteers to protect this nation. In a recent panel discussion on this looming crisis, Army Major General Malcolm Frost, the commander of the Army's initial military training command, said, "I would argue that the next essential threat we have is the inability to man our military." In 2009, a group of retired U.S. generals and admirals formed a nonprofit group called Mission Readiness to draw attention to the growing problem in their report, Ready and Willing and Able to Serve. They report the main cause of this situation are inadequate education, criminality, and obesity.
Well, they could run the obesity off of them.
Unchecked and combined effects of these three conditions will continue to decrease the number of young adults eligible to serve in the U.S. Military.
See, we had plenty of fat guys that came in, and they just fucking ran them to death.
Right.
They got them whipped into shape. Oh, 8 weeks is a long time. 8 weeks is a long time when you're eating 400 calories a day and running 30 miles. You can get in shape. Criminality? Since when does that stop people from getting in?
I'm just reading the report.
Yeah, that dude. What all this says to me is that they're going to have to change the standard.
Yeah,
which they've already proven that they have no problem doing anyway. The way that they're fucking lightening it up so that the chicks can get in.
Exactly.
You know, they have no problem doing that, so they'll just change the standard. They'll make it so that if you can do one push up and fucking one pull up, you can get in.
Right. But what I'm reading here is that the new generation are dumb, fat criminals.
Yeah. Well, they don't go outside.
Yeah, they're dumb, fat criminals.
Yeah, I mean, they sit around and play on their computer.
The issue of growing ineligibility for military service among America's youth must be a national priority. The former commander of the Marine Corps, recruiting Commander Major General Mark Brilakis, says, there are 30-some million 17 to 24-year-olds out there, but by the time you get all the way down to those that are qualified, you're down to less than 1 million young Americans.
Wow.
A manpower shortage in the United States military directly compromises national security. America needs a strong military to defend our national interests, and that military depends on qualified volunteers. As the most recent U.S. national security strategy makes clear, the United States faces an extraordinary, dangerous world filled with wide range of threats that have intensified in the recent years. Greater numbers of Americans should be available if the military lowered its standards, but this would also arguably put the nation's defense at risk since the caliber among the service members would be reduced, harming a qualitative factor that is always representative of has always represented a competitive advantage of the U.S. military.
Yeah. But, dude, see, this is a short-sighted article. This is a very short-sighted article. Because you know what they're going to do to fix this, right? They'll institute a draft. And they'll draft everybody in. Just like they did in the past. You know, when Vietnam and that shit, they'll just have a draft.
Of course.
And were they turning anybody down in the draft?
Some people they did, but, you know, it wasn't very common.
You had to be real fucked up.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just that you ate too much pie, for God's sakes. It was fucking, you had to be like one leg that was 4 inches shorter than the other one or something.
Yeah, Private Pyle got in, but he blew his head off.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they'll institute a draft and they'll fucking suck some of these fucking assholes in. You know, that's what they'll do. It's, you know, if they don't serve... Look, the bottom line is the government, this government that loves to stick their fucking beak into everything, they're not going to let the country just be fucking rife for takeover.
No, what they're saying, though, is that it's going to take some work to whip these people into shape.
Yeah, well, stop letting them be pussies. How about you let them get a fucking good paddling in school, and maybe they won't be so weak.
Yeah.
Maybe they won't sit around on their ass and be fucking... You know, the funny thing is all these goddamn 17 to 24-year-olds think that they're already in the military because they're fucking A1 players of Call of Duty. You know, take them off the Call of Duty and put them on the real Call of Duty. Put them out there in the fucking military. As I've said all the time, I am definitely pro 18 to 20, you serve 2 years. I am pro for that. I think you should have to do that. Everybody should have to do that. I know everybody doesn't agree with that, but you get out of high school, fuck yeah, serve for a couple of years. Fucking protect the goddamn place. And then you get your college money and you fucking have the ability to thrive. You know, at least then, if everybody got college money, you know, and mandated 2 years of service, but then got college money behind it, doesn't that solve a lot of problems? Solves an education problem, solves a discipline problem, teaches these fuckers to actually, you know, not be lazy slugs, gets them a little trip around the world to see some shit. What's the problem with that?
Could we get them some dick suck money?
You know what? In today's military, I guess you're not supposed to ask, or no. Now you're allowed to be a cocksucking guy. You're allowed to be Private Pinky if you want to.
Right.
You know, I just think that and it's going to go that way. If they can't get people to serve, they'll force them to serve.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I mean, we got plenty of people that we could get. You know, why don't we take anybody that hasn't like straight murdered people out of prison? Give you a break. You can do your like anybody that has like a 5-year or more sentence.
Right.
You can commute it. If you've got 5 years, you can do 2 in the military. If you've got 10 years, you can do 3. If you've got 20, you can do 4. You know, do that. I think you'd get a lot of people that would come out of jail to go and serve in the military, don't you think?
Well, you would hope.
I would think you would. You know, it's got to be better than jail. I served in the military. It wasn't fucking hard. It was easy. I loved it. I did love it. I thought it was fucking fun. Traveling the world, banging chicks from all over the world. You know, drinking, partying.
Yeah, but the young guys don't want to bang chicks these days.
No, then bang dudes. Do whatever it is you do.
They just want a virtual chick online they can just send their money to.
Right, well, have her stuffed in your wall locker for all I care.
Exactly.
But it is fun. You know, it's not this fucking horrible thing. Now, I wouldn't want to have to go and fight in fucking Afghanistan or whatever. That would kind of suck a bag of dicks, but whatever, I would have. Back in the day. I'd have gone over there in a minute and fucking thrown some RPGs at people. Fuck yeah. Shit would have been fun.
But would you have sucked a bag of dicks?
No, I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have, but I'll tell you what, man, when I was, you know, one of the most fun times I had, and you're going to laugh because it doesn't sound like it was a fun time, but it was kind of fun, was, you know, when we went into why can't I think of the fucking country? And I was there. Noriega. What is that? Not Venezuela. Where's Noriega?
Yeah, that's down south in Venezuela.
Was that Venezuela, Noriega? Wherever it was, I was positioned on top of a Coca-Cola factory, and we did 12 on, 12 off, just guarding the street below us and shooting anything that came up the street.
You'll shoot anything that moves.
Yeah, that was it. If it came up the street, we started shooting on it, and we never had to. I mean, nothing ever came up the street. It wasn't like it was what? That's not what it was. What was it? Panama.
Panama.
Not fucking.
Well, it's down in the same region.
Yeah, I think it was Panama, and fucking. I don't know why I was brain dead on that, but
did you get Van Halen to come down there and play?
No, we didn't. But you could hear Guns N' Roses being played at full blast at the far end of the road, like way far away from us. They were blasting music at the, kind of like they did at Waco.
Yeah.
At the thing, trying to get Noriega to come out. They were blasting music at him, trying to get him to go crazy and come out. And we could hear it all the way up where we were. We could hear, the music that they were blasting at the thing day and night. It was kind of fun. I had a good time doing it. All we really did was we pulled 12-hour shifts, and we just sat around telling stories and, looking at the street. And then when we were off, we would either sleep some or play cards. It was great.
And Chris was over there dealing out cards, and as he was dealing the cards, he'd go, I'm going to fuck this bitch, I'm going to fuck this bitch, I'm going to fuck this bitch, I'm going to fuck anything that moves.
It moves. Yeah, it was a fun time, man.
Yeah. We don't want to sacrifice quality. If we lower the quality, yes, we might be able to make our mission, but that's not good for the organization. The American public has come to expect qualified army that can defend the nation, he adds. I don't think the American public would like us to lower the quality for those joining the Army if they knew it was going to impact our ability to perform the very functions our nation respects us to do or expects us to do.
Yeah, but they have. They already have. They've lowered the standards for everything. Didn't we do a story like 6 months ago?
We did.
That they lowered the standard for Rangers so that chicks could be Rangers now?
Yeah, well, that was just a token gesture.
Yeah, but it's Ranger school.
Yeah.
That's like the elite of the elite in the military, in the Army.
Yeah, it's like one chick Ranger out of 20.
Yeah. There's what's bigger than being an Army Ranger?
Yeah,
Navy SEAL, maybe?
Yeah, we'll just let her in. Go ahead.
Yeah. We'll change the standard. They've already lowered the standard, so lower it some more and get some of these fuckers.
It's the whole Chris Aiken. Yeah, you're the vice president of, you sitting over there.
Yeah, you can be the head of sitting over in that corner.
Yeah, you're the ranger of sitting, over in that corner. The rest of us guys, we're going to actually do something.
That's right. You can wear the ranger tab while you sit over there.
Yeah.
You can march in formation. That's probably what she does, is marches in formation.
Right. Go get your stenographer pad and take some notes.
Now, I know this. When I was at Fort Ord, I worked at a company called Light Fighter Cadre. And we were a training school. Like we taught a course called LFO, which is Light Fighter Orientation, which everybody had to go through when they got to Fort Ord. Once a week, we'd run them through an obstacle course and fucking treat them like they were still in basic training, getting in their face and yelling at them and shit, just to get them ready because the base was an infantry base.
Okay.
So we taught that, and then we taught air assault, where you would, get up on the air assault tower and rappel down and do that kind of shit. And then we taught a course called CLC, Combat Leadership Course, which was like a pre-ranger. Like people that were going to go to ranger school from Fort Ord had to complete CLC. And it was 75 days. It was kind of, like it was just like ranger school. But the thing that our unit liked was that people that completed CLC were like, we would have like a 90%. If we sent them from CLC to Ranger School, it was like a 90% pass. So if they could deal with us, they could deal with anything. It was that type of a deal. I went through the CLC, and boy, it fucking beat my ass. Whew. Jesus Christ, it was fucking hard. And man, oh man, I can't fathom these kids today being able to deal with that. But at the same time, if you put them in the military and you don't treat them like pussies, you actually bust their fucking heads, they'll come around. Don't you think? I mean, just forget the military for a minute. Don't you think that if we just busted some fucking heads with these kids that they would come around?
Well, you would think so. I mean, you have to be conditioned for the, what am I trying to say? You got to be conditioned for the surroundings you're in.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. If every time a kid said something that was definitely millennial-esque, they got a good punch right in the face, would they keep saying that shit?
Oh, I don't know. I know of one CMS fan that says if you keep getting punched in the face again and again, would you come back anymore?
What if you were in the military? Wouldn't have much of a choice, jaded quartz. Or should I say jaded camo?
Right.
If she was in the military, she'd get it. I don't know. It's just it's a disaster.
It is.
I feel bad for, who I really feel bad for? The guys that have done their 20 to 30. The guys that are in now, and they've just watched it deteriorate. That they used to be, when they were young, they know how hard they had to work. And now they have to be protective of people's gender and people's choices and
their feelings.
Oh, that's just there was no, dude, in my basic training, show a drill sergeant any inkling of weakness. Show a drill sergeant that you were tired. Fall asleep in an 8-hour course for 1 second and let him catch you. And that motherfucker would have you spider crawling up a goddamn mountain for the rest of the night. That was just how that worked. There was no, well, I guess we've been working you too hard. Let's take a break. I remember one time specifically, our drill sergeant, we did something. I don't know what we did. I probably didn't fucking buff the floor to the perfect shine or something. Something stupid. And our drill sergeant came in and he was fucking furious. And he was like, he told us, he said, regulation says I have to give you 4 hours of sleep. Doesn't have to be in a row. And this motherfucker kept us up all fucking night. He would call a formation. We would do formation. Then he would send us back to bed for like 15 minutes. Then he'd call another formation and get us doing fucking push-ups and sit-ups and shit, for 15 minutes and then back to bed. So that he gave us exactly 4 hours, total to sleep. 240 minutes was the total time he gave us, and nobody slept. And then the next day, 25-mile road march. People were fucking dying. I mean, just dying. But you know what? You sucked it up. There was no, my feet hurt and I'm tired. Can I take a break? None of that. They didn't give a fuck. Just deal with it, you fucking pansies.
Yeah, pal.
Yeah. But you know what? Most of us just were like, you get so jaded to it that it just doesn't matter. I mean, you don't even bitch about it, because bitching about it makes it worse than it is. You just kind of like, all right, well, this is what we're doing now. You really get mind fucked into just that's the way it goes. I think you could turn these kids. I think you could. You'd have to put some balls in there to fucking do it, but I think you could turn these kids around.
Sure you could.
No. Dude, you all right over there? You look like you're falling asleep.
No, I'm fine. Oh. The same sentiment applies to the other branches as well. This is not just an Army problem.
Right.
It's not even a joint problem of all services. This is a national issue tied to the security of the United States of America. Thus, the remedy to this national dilemma must be addressed. Those staggering numbers who do not qualify and put in place programs to reverse the trends.
Which is what? What programs could you put in place?
Well, education, for one thing.
Right.
To join the armed forces, the military across the branches requires that an individual have a high school diploma or a general equivalency diploma, that is a GED. This is a qualification ensures that the recruits possess a minimum level of education, a basic understanding of written and cognitive skills, and enough stick-to-itiveness, that's a whole word, to complete an organized program. This basic standard eliminates far too many young Americans from being able to serve. Though comparable ineligibility statistics from past years do not exist, the military only recently started calculating ineligibility percentages. Experts said senior graduating from high school in 2014 faced the longest odds to qualify for military service since the draft was abolished in 1971. Despite the National Center of Education statistics reporting that in 2014 to 2015 school year, the adjusted cohort graduation rate for public high school students rose to 83%. Dropout expert Julian Vasquez said that the only people who believe it's over 80% are probably the politicians who are telling us that. In addition to other shortcomings, this statistic from the NCES does not account for lowered graduation standards, incomplete data, or the students who transferred to the other programs, typically the most at risk for not graduating, and so on and so forth.
Since when is that a fucking requirement for... I mean, look, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to be a fucking 11 Bravo, grunt.
True.
I don't understand why you would need, why a high school diploma is so fucking important.
Well, I guess what they're trying to say is that they can't have a dunce join the military.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe because they can't think.
You know what you do with that guy? Put him on point. That's what you do with him. Put him out front. Here, you fucking find the bombs.
Another hindrance to the young adult's ability to join the military is criminal history. Though each branch's criminal background requirements vary slightly, the armed forces jointly adhere to a common standard of moral behavior as a means of evaluating a recruit's ability to succeed in the military service. Across the services, emphasis is placed on a conviction of crime, not so much as on the punishment given. Criminal history is relevant because it shows recruiters that the kind of behavior and activities that the recruits has exhibited in the past, which, while not predictive, certainly hint at a potential for the similar behavior in the future. So past practice dictates future behavior.
Yeah, no, see, I don't know. I don't agree with that. I mean, and who am I? It doesn't matter what I agree with, but, depends on the crime, really. If it's low level shit, if it's fucking, selling weed or some shit like that, a lot of times those smaller crimes those are the direct result of having zero discipline in your life, and the military would fucking straighten that out. The military, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying put a fucking pedophile in the military, but people that have stolen cars and shit like that, they'd be straightened around by the military. Some of them would, some of them won't. But you know what? I'm sure I'm positive there's a lot of guys in the military that are beating their chicks and fucking, committing crimes. Believe me, some of the shit we did over there in Korea, I can't imagine was fully legal. Some of the knocking out fucking cab drivers and shit, that wasn't legal, but we did it. I mean, should I have been thrown out of the military for it?
Well, today you would be.
Did that impact my ability to fucking read video or pictures and identify, do military intelligence type shit? No. Didn't impact that at all. It certainly didn't impact me at all from fucking guarding the general. They wanted somebody that was a fucking little bit nutty. Just make sure that fucker wasn't, that nobody would get to that fucker. That was the gig. You didn't want somebody that was a fucking straight A valedictorian. You want somebody with a little bit of fucking grit to them. That wasn't afraid to fucking mix it up. This just sounds like they're trying to fill the military with nice guys. You don't need nice guys. You don't need nice guys to fight wars.
Well, that is true, but I think what they're saying is that the qualifications that they have to meet, they want the most top-notch people volunteering, and with the lesser standards, they have to accept the lesser standards, but they have to do more work, as I said earlier, to whip them into shape.
Yeah, and there's some truth to that. But you know what? If we're in time of crisis where we don't have enough bodies, that's just the way it goes.
Yeah,
don't you think?
Pretty much. I mean, you gotta fill the void. You gotta have a million guy. I think that's the number. You have to have 1 million people in active service at any given time, right? Pretty much. Isn't that the number? 1 million or 1.5 million or something? So if they can't meet that number, then you gotta adjust down a little bit. And you know what? Give me the guys that aren't afraid to fucking throw some punches or whatever. In case they gotta mix it up in Afghanistan and they drop their fucking rifle. I want somebody that'll choke a raghead out. Exactly. That's what I want. I don't want somebody to be like, hold on, please, please, please. Don't give me that guy. Give me the guy that's not afraid to bite you in the face. Give me the guy that's a little bit kooky. Yeah. That's the guy. Yeah, give him some flakka. Yeah, give him some flakka, give him a gun, and set him loose in the fucking streets. Exactly. And then, of course, the health issues. According to the former commander of the U.S. recruiting branch, the biggest culprit keeping young adults from qualifying to serve in the United States military, however, is health concerns, mostly obesity. But they can fix that. The obesity issue is the most troubling because the trend is going in the wrong direction. By 2020, it could be as high as 50%, which means that only 2 in 10 would qualify for the military. 2 out of 10 kids that graduate? Yeah. 10 kids are obese? Yeah. 8 of 10. That's what they're saying. That doesn't sound right at all. Well, that's what they're saying. That sounds grossly high. 8 of 10? That's what they're saying. They say only 2 out of 10 would be qualified. Man, this is I think I'm for the draft here. You get them in there and you fucking run them. Yeah, you straighten them up. You run them and run them and run them, and if they haven't hit their target at 8 weeks, you bolo them and you fucking give them 6 more weeks. That's what they did in my day. In our day, if you didn't I remember that was like the biggest fear everybody ever had was when we would get, like when we were doing training, we'd be out on the rifle range or wherever we'd be, road marching or whatever. The biggest fear you had was getting hurt. If you fell down running or some shit, you twisted your ankle or something, man, you fucking pretended like it didn't hurt, no matter how bad it hurt. Because the biggest fear anybody had was what they would call us boloing. They would, if you failed out, they'd say that you boloed out. And what they would do is they wouldn't send you home. They'd send you to a holding platoon, and they would start you over. And it was like, fuck. I'm 6 weeks in. I got 2 weeks left, and they're going to start me over? Fuck you, pal. I'm going on this broken foot. Right. I don't give a fuck. I'll tape it up. I'll do something. I'll wear extra socks. That was everybody's biggest fear, was getting hurt, especially the closer you got to graduation. Everybody was afraid of getting hurt. But if you did this with these people now, if they are truly obese, which I don't know, I see a lot of kids. I don't see 8 of 10 being fat. So I think maybe the obese standard is probably, going in, you could be overweight, and
8 weeks of running and fucking eating 1,000 calories a day, you won't be obese when you come out. You'll be a goddamn machine.
What's your name, fat body?
Yeah. Yeah. And, I wonder if they can even do that now, if the drill sergeants can call names and shit, or if that's just against the rules.
Who knows?
Our drill sergeants, everybody had a nickname that was fucking demeaning. My nickname was Crooked Head. My drill sergeant, come here, Crooked Head. For whatever reason, I fucking stand with my head cocked to the side for whatever reason. Drill sergeant called me Crooked Head all fucking time. I'd hear him fucking yelling from across the yard where our barracks were. He's like, Crooked Head, get your fucking broken neck down here. Too funny, man. Old school.
Yep. We have a problem with obesity in kids. The mission readiness report previously cited reports that 27% of the young Americans are too overweight for military service, and of the total number of those who attempt to join the military forces, approximately 15,000 are rejected every year because they are overweight.
Wow.
These statistics are likely to climb based on the data from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey. 1 in 3 adults is obese, as there are 1 in 6 children and adolescents between the ages of 2 and 19. Trends are showing greater numbers of coming in. Let's see. Trends show greater numbers in the coming years. The Trust for American Health reports that in 2006, Mississippi was the only U.S. state with the adult obesity rate above 30%. Today's 30 states could claim the dubious honor.
Nice. I'm glad I can help with that.
So kids are too fat to join the military.
Yeah. Somehow I think if there was a war and we needed bodies, though, they'd pull them all in. Don't you think?
Well, yeah, they'd figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we're dealing with volunteers here, so
True.
they don't have to take you.
True. Sounds like they're going to need to have to take you pretty soon, though. Doesn't it?
Who knows?
They're going to have to. They're going to have to lower the standard some. They're just going to have to do it, and I'm not for that. I'm just saying they're going to have to do it. If they don't have any asses in the fucking in the planes and in the tanks and in the marching, what are they going to do? You can't go into battle with fucking half a platoon, man. You can't run an operation with 2 guys.
Yeah.
You got to have fucking your 20 to 30 guys, and they got to all be organized, and you can't do it with a half a. The military is one place that you cannot skimp. You can't, for anything that we did, anytime we would actually do military stuff, whether I was in basic training, AIT, in field exercises, any of that shit. They put us into a company, and a company is basically 20 to 30 fucking guys roughly. And they put you into a squad, and each squad is like a row, and each squad would have like 6 guys in it, right?
Right.
Every guy in the squad had something specific that they had to do. It wasn't like, okay, well, you guys are in the squad, and you guys are going to, I don't know, mop the floors. It wasn't like that. It was like, okay, guy number 1, your job is to get the bucket. Guy number 2, your job is to mop the floor. Guy number 3, your job is to dry the floor. Guy number 4, your job is to clean the bucket once it's done. Guy number 5, your job is to make sure that everything's put away and signed back in. Everybody had a job, and it was it was built so that you learned to work as a team, and you adapted everybody into the team. You always ingratiated everybody into the team. And you can't go into a battle or something without having a full team.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the movie Platoon when Pyle had that donut in his Foot Locker. Yeah, the whole team had to pay the price.
Of course. Dude, that was like the worst thing I had in basic training because my name was Aiken with an A. They fucking lined us up in alphabetical order. And they said, Aiken, platoon leader. I'm fucking 17. You know, everybody else was, you know, older than me. I was the youngest person in my platoon. And because my name was Aiken, I was in charge. So I had to dole out fucking assignments and everything. And every time anybody fucked up, and you know, we had 25 guys in our platoon, anytime anybody fucked up, I had to do push-ups with them. I was a goddamn machine I was the platoon leader for like 6 weeks, 6 of the 8 weeks, or 4 of the 6 weeks. I think I was 6 weeks. But 4 of the 6 weeks, I was the platoon leader before the drill sergeant fired me. I mean, anytime anybody did anything, it was Johnson, Aiken, push, you know, get some face, as they used to say. You know, I was like, oh, fuck, I'm not pushing fucking push-ups. I was doing 1,000 push-ups a goddamn day for other people. I wanted to strangle a motherfucker.